Hello guys, KDreezy Gaming again. So I had a request from one of my fans. He noticed that I played Kerbal Space Program, and I told him I knew how to dock and rendezvous. I am definitely not a professional at it, and actually, if you guys know who Scott Manley is, he has a great channel, and I would recommend going over to his channel. If you wanted to learn more in addition to what I'm teaching you here. And so this video is just going to be basically rendezvous, and then the part 2 is going to be the actual docking maneuver. So right now I already have a spacecraft up at 80,000 meters, 80 kilometers, which is 10,000 meters past the atmosphere, which is something you want to do because it keeps you from, when you're making your small adjustments for docking, you don't want to hit the atmosphere because then your spaceship will crash. So you want to keep it pretty high. Right here I'm just kind of showing you guys the docking spacecraft. So we have that other one which is already in orbit, and this is going to be the spacecraft which is going to go up and actually dock with the larger spacecraft, which I have as my KDreezy space station center, and then this is going to be the dock. So for this spacecraft, you want to keep it as light as possible, but you also want to make sure that you have a good center of mass. And as you can see right here, which I'm pointing out, if you hit the center of mass button, it'll show you exactly where the center of mass is for your spacecraft, and you want to make sure that your RCS thrusters are on completely opposite sides of that and as even as possible. Also, what you'll notice is that the center of mass is a little bit low because as the fuel tank starts running out, the center of mass is going to start shifting towards the nose. So that's something to be aware of. As your fuel starts running out, it's going to change the dynamics of your spacecraft. So keep that in mind. And then what we're going to do is the very first step before you launch your spacecraft, you want to make sure that when you launch it, the spacecraft which is already in orbit is going to be in the prime position for you to actually maneuver and be able to match up your orbit with it. And you don't want to like launch your spacecraft when the other one is completely on the other side of the planet, because then you will have so much more as far as corrections. You will have to correct your spacecraft in your orbit so much, and you'll have to make your orbit bigger or smaller so that either it can speed up and catch up to you based on its trajectory, or you'll have to speed up and catch up to it. So it's a lot harder. What I like to do is to move the spacecraft to about right there, just past that peninsula. I just time accelerated, and then once it gets to that spot, then you are free to launch your spacecraft. And I'm going to assume that you guys already know how to use like gravity turn and all that, and so I'm just going to skip the part of me launching out of the atmosphere, and we're just going to get up here to where we bring our apoaps just a little bit further past the spacecraft that we want to dock to. So I have it closer to 90 kilometers, which will actually give me a little bit of time for my spacecraft to slow down and the other spacecraft to catch up. And not only that, but it gives you more time to do your to circulate your orbit and match your orbit up with the other spacecraft. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of checking my orbit, seeing if I need to burn and make my orbit larger or smaller so that it matches up with my target spacecraft's orbit. And so you just make small adjustments. You usually don't want to go full throttle with your main engine. You just kind of want to do small little adjustments, get your orbit as close as possible to the other one. Sometimes what you have to do is maybe time accelerate to get to an apoapse or a periapse so that you can change the other side of the planet so that it matches up even better. And what I'm doing here is continuing to burn in the direction of the spacecraft. So if the spacecraft is going up and to the right of my screen, I want to burn towards up and to the right so that I will match up with it. And so you'll see a little bit more of that in the next clip. But right now I'm just kind of trying to change my orbit so that it aligns with the target spacecraft's orbit as close as possible. And as you can see, these intersect arrows are getting closer and closer as I'm burning towards that. And so you basically just want to get that intersect line, or those intersect arrows rather, as close as possible so that your docking maneuver is much easier. You don't have to spend a lot of RCS propellant. And another thing you might have to do is when you see that your orbit is slightly lower or higher than the other orbit, then what you're going to want to do is figure out where they cross while you're in the map view. Figure out where they cross, and they make kind of an X shape when you look at the planet from the side. And then you want to make a maneuver right there using the pink arrows to change the angle so that the angle of your orbit is going to align with the target spacecraft. Alright, so now that we are getting pretty close to the target spacecraft, what you want to do is try to use your main engine as little as possible, and you're just trying to match up that target meters per second, and you usually want to keep it less than about 20 or 15. If you get really good at it, you can go a little bit higher and you can move towards it more quickly. But what I'm doing right now is, as you can see, I have my orange vector aligned with the pink symbol, and then I'm trying to use my RCS thrusters to move the yellow, which is my prograde vector, on top of that. So what it basically means is that the nose of my spacecraft is aiming at the target, and then my prograde, which is the direction my spacecraft is moving, is also going towards the target. So I'm aiming towards it and I'm moving towards it. And as you get closer and closer to the spacecraft, which I'm going to time accelerate just a little bit, you'll notice that your prograde vector is going to start veering off to a different away from the pink and the orange. And so that basically means that you're just getting closer, so every meter per second that you're moving to the side or up and down is going to change, and it's going to become more significant as you get closer to the spacecraft. So you're just going to have to keep adjusting. Just adjust using your RCS as much as you can. Try to stay away from using your main engine. Otherwise you can burn right past the target spacecraft. So now we're getting a little bit closer to it, and this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to stop it right here, and you guys can switch over to part 2 for the actual docking maneuver. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video helped, and have a great day.